Oh my goodness. Yeah. This thing is this thing is kind of dark, but it is what it is. It's all about getting it in. All right. Now, last thing, let me jump on ours. Boom. There we go. All right. It's the Nellet Podcast going live, trying to see how we can help as many people as possible get their general contractor license. And we are right now on our Google Meet in the community. Yeah, you ain't got to have your camera on. You good. So right now, I'm not even sharing you on there, Samaya. We got class on one. I'll let you guys know when I switch it over to the full classroom setting. But ultimately, this is all open Q&A. And in this Q&A, we are going to try to answer as many questions as possible for our students and anyone else who wants to learn, again, how you can pass your general contractor exam. So, boom, boom, boom. I'm going to start recording this on our Google Meet as well. Let me make sure we got some captions and some transcribing going. So we got our notes. And I was just sitting here today with one of our students, and they were telling me, she's on here, just so y'all know, but we'll put her on screen in a second, is that, getting started, what should you do first when you're preparing for your general contractor exam? And one of the things I'm gonna tell you is, the hardest thing is looking at the books and saying, how the hell am I gonna read it? Y'all know I say this all the time. Like, how are you going to read these gigantic books? Like, she's doing the IBC right now, and you guys can tap in on this live. You can jump in on this live, ask any questions. But she's right now going through the IBC, and she has. You said you highlighted and everything already, right, Samaya? Oh no, no, you good. Highlighting today, and when you highlight, I just want to point these things out to you guys. It's not a rush thing. It's not a rush to just get the highlights going. Did you just change your hairstyle like right in the middle of this? But this is when you're starting out in your general contractor exam, it is with the highlights not important to rush through it. What you need to do with your highlights is you need to take each one and actually break it down. All right. And for those who are on TikTok and you're trying to figure out where we at, StudyBuddyPro.app. That's where we at. You guys can join this live. I can't feed my screen on this side, but any questions you ask, you can put it in the chat and I'll answer them live for you guys. But we're going to actually look at some of the highlights that you're going to be going over, and I want to show you how to properly highlight it. And did we go over that already, Samaya? Right now, where you're at, what kind of challenge do you think you're having just getting started on it? Is it just time? Right. Not a minute. So when you got your questions, it's not a race to get it answered in a minute. It's 3 minutes. Okay. And you're taking the NASCLA, right? Okay. So you're taking the NASCLA exam. You got 24 books. We already know we're going to break that down to 11 or less, hopefully 7 or 8 of those books that you're going to be in there studying with. And you got 3 minutes per question. That 1 minute that you're talking about that you need to master, the first minute, what you're mastering is just identifying what the question is asking you. All right. And getting to that section. Does that make sense? Go ahead. You good? Okay. And thumbs up if y'all can hear. So yeah, I get it. So breaking up the monotony, I heard what you said. You said like what should be the sequence of studying, right? So subject matters, how should we be studying? Is that correct? No. Okay. Okay. So yes, if I'll answer that. So you're talking about when you're taking a test, what questions you should focus on first, or just basically how should you sequence through it. And when you're taking the general contractor exam, what I'm gonna tell you is this: math, always save it for the last, right? Because every question you answer in under those 3 minutes, what's going to happen is you're buying time for the end. And so since you're buying time for the end, in that end route, you're going to have more than 3 minutes to answer those math questions because it is kind of tough when you got to go through different steps in math and it's going to probably take you 5 or 7 or 8 minutes. That makes sense? Okay. So again, I recommend when you're doing your exam, even when you're studying, you want to take the math questions at the end. So what we call that when you're studying in the Study Buddy Pro app is flag it. And I'll share my screen as well so you can see what we're talking about when we're talking about flagging it. But flagging it is just literally skipping the question and coming back to it. That's all it is. Uh-uh. No, no, no. Listen, the whole point of me going live every Friday at 10 a.m. is to make sure that when you got questions, I don't care how you might have a different way of learning, right? That's how you prepare. You think about that end goal and then you work it backwards. And what I tell everyone is when you're studying for your exam, you gotta practice like you're actually gonna play. So when we're in practice and we're doing these practice exams, right? Not the lessons where we're in one chapter and we're doing 35 questions. It's when you're actually doing your advanced quizzes and you're testing to see like where you're at overall. What I recommend is do not do things that you're not going to do on the real exam. So one of the things that you have to master is the time. Don't get stuck on questions and just sit there like I got to get the answer. I got to get the answer. The quickest way to break through those barriers of time when you're trying to find an answer and it's frustrating for you, just click the wrong answer and get the reference. Okay? Then when you get the reference, you're going to re-engineer it and you're going to work it backwards. That's that's the best way to keep going because practice as you're going to be in the game is how we're going to preach this. Cool, cool. So going back to progression from once you just started, you want to figure out again. Um, after I tab my book and I get into the highlights, again, I'm gonna share my screen so we can be all on the same page. Is what we want to do is really understand what each of those highlighting tabs are saying. So let me share my screen here, and hopefully my computer don't get overworked here because I'm working. Today is work time. All right. So let me see here. Apparently, I didn't open the classroom for everybody. Oh, nope, classroom's open. Okay, let me tap out of that. All right, so highlight drills, and you are in the IBC, so I'm gonna start off in the IBC, and I'm gonna just click on the highlighting guides, okay? And in those highlighting guides, right here, we're gonna be able to, if it loads up, I might need to close out a couple applications, so forgive me. I am a tab whore. Is that what they call them? Tab whore. Just got everything open. Got everything open. Okay. Boom, boom. Y'all see me. I'm dropping all these things out of here, deleting groups and stuff. because maybe that's why I'm dragging too on this thing. But here we are here highlighting guide. You see me? Perfect. I'm gonna click on the IBC and I'm gonna scroll down. Now, IBC on here is not as complete as the printouts that you have in your books, but it still allows you to get the information that you need. So let me go here. I'm gonna start off in the 300s. Okay. And let me say this, if you're taking the commercial license, um, the most important parts of the book are chapters 3, 4, 5, and 6. So if you're going to allocate your time studying in the international code, right? I want you to focus on the chapters 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay. Now, if you're familiar with the IBC already, for anyone that's here, the IBC is not a language that we're used to, even when we're in construction and you've been doing this all your life, right? And what I mean by that is you don't hear studs and floor joists and just framing and things like that regular terminology that we're used to in the streets. I'm gonna call it the streets when we're just talking basic construction, right? This ain't the language of the streets. This is really a step up from that, and that's why coming at it with no experience, I like to break it down. I want you to really wrap your mind around it because once you get this, you'll be capable of building anything, right? Or at least understanding how it's put together. So in chapter 3, when we start, it is occupancies. Okay. So what is occupancies? I want to ask you, so Maya, since you've been studying, what is occupancies? What does that mean? No, this is how you work through it. You came on here to learn. I'm gonna push you because I want you to tap into it and actually understand. Okay, right now where I'm at, I may not understand it, but when I ask you this next week, and you're gonna be able to break it down real quick. You with me? Okay. What the building is going to be used for exactly. So looking at my screen, we got assembly, we got business group, we got education group E, we got factory industrial group F. And again, right now for everybody who's listening in, we're in studybuddypro.app, just trying to figure this thing out. And so when we start talking about assembly, okay, and I'm going to click on it, it tells us Group Assembly Group A occupancy includes, among others, the use of a building or structure or a portion thereof for the gathering of persons for purposes such as civic, social, or religious functions, recreation, food or drink consumption, or waiting transportation. Okay. So when you hear that, is a church an assembly? Okay. Is I know you probably heard of these places. It's a good investment for a lot of people where they invest in these facilities that they throw events at. Is it the same thing? Like, is that in a sense? Yeah, you throw events, right? You do social gatherings, you may do birthday parties or whatever. So that's an assembly. So now, when we're thinking about that, how does that affect construction? Why would that even matter that we need to know that it's an assembly classification? Like, why would that even matter when you're doing construction? Okay, you are right on point. So, what we heard somebody say, she said bathrooms, like there might be a certain amount. One of the biggest things, though, is exits, right? How do you safely build a structure, right? And you got, let's just say, hundreds of people in it, whether they're living or they're just visiting. How do you keep them safe? and also get them out safe, right? That's just part of the safety factor. So if a fire happens, for instance, right, and say this assembly has a kitchen, okay, and so they're cooking meals multiple times throughout the day. And then they might even have some things in rooms like maybe microwaves or ovens or whatever it is. Well, no, this is assembly I'm talking about, not residential. The aspects that we think about, or the functions that we think about as general contractors, is okay, if I got a kitchen and the kitchen catches on fire, we want to make sure we got enough time to contain it, right? Before it spreads throughout the building. Okay. So the walls, the ceilings, okay, and the exits are going to be important. Okay. And not only that is sprinkler systems. How do you put the water out? Okay. So you're going to hear a lot in these chapters about sprinklers and non sprinklers. You're going to hear a lot about means of egress, size of corridors, right? Because if we got hundreds of people in it, we can't have a hallway like we have in a house, right? A 3-foot hallway, maybe 32 inches wide, where you got hundreds of people trying to go through it to reach an exit in case of an emergency. So the width of the hallway, or what we call a corridor in the commercial world, is going to be important. Make sense? Okay. So let me see here. Boom, boom, boom. I'm trying to make sure this over here. I'm going to click a couple things. See a couple people asking right now. I'm going to put a thumbnail up. And we are, uh-oh. This is where the assistant comes into play, right? trying to make it work. Like, uh-oh. And we about to do some crazy stuff on these webinars, not to get off track, but we got some government contracting stuff. Steve, that I wanted you to meet, one of my partners. I can't wait to show you what we got going on. So going back to occupancies, you're on point. You see it. Exits. We talk about fire separation, fire distance, flame index. So the language, right? When we say fire separation or fire rating, when you take a product, right? Let's just say it's a door, okay? And if you look right now in your home, you have a door that's maybe mm, hollow, right or wrong. Bedroom door, is it hollow? Like when you tap on it, you can see it's not solid. Okay, that's an interior door. Okay, meaning that the rating of that door, if it caught on fire, is probably 30 seconds. You know, I'm probably exaggerated, but it's not going to stop anything from coming in, right? But when you look at your front door, you see how heavy and thick that is on your front door or your back door or any door that leads to an exit. Okay, those have fire ratings. And those fire ratings are very important when you're trying to separate rooms or spaces based on safety. So all of these occupancies are going to be talking about these in particular, and that's where it matters. Is if I'm in a residential setting, it might not be as strict as if I'm in a modern or moderate hazard factory industry or high hazard where we're dealing with chemicals and things like that. So it won't be built the same. It might be built out of metal because metal might have a longer resistance, right? Or it might be made out of lumber, but the lumber is a lot thicker. And then the things that we put on the outside of the lumber, meaning our finishes, the drywall is a lot thicker. The insulation is different, right? So these are the different key aspects when we start talking about occupancies that makes the biggest difference. Now, did that make sense? Okay. So I'm gonna click in one, and we're talking about highlighting still. How do you highlight your books when you're studying? Okay. Right now, I got a highlight that's in the Study Buddy Pro. They won't let me share my screen on Facebook. I don't know about Instagram or Facebook and all those yet. But right now, if you're in this meeting, you can reach it by Study Buddy Pro. Just go in, it's free link. But we're showing this, and it says Assembly Group A occupancy includes, among others, the use of a building or structure or portion thereof for the gathering of persons for purposes such as civic, social, or religious functions, recreation, food or drink consumption, or awaiting transportation. So, what do you highlight? Do you highlight this whole section, or do you just highlight Assembly Group A? What would you do in this situation? Okay. And I'll pull that up. I think somebody's stuck here. Check it now. So either one is correct. It doesn't matter if you highlight just assembly A or you highlight the full thing. And why is the big thing that you need to take from this is, do you understand what it's saying? That's really it. Do you understand what it's saying? So going back to it, you understand now that assemblies, civic, social, religious functions, cool. We move on. Okay. We don't want to fill our book up with a whole bunch of highlighting that's pointless. Some of the questions you get, it's not like they're just going to be asking you questions. What is assembly group A or what is education group E? That's not. They might ask a couple. So, but to have the definition of it highlighted, that's not always just helping you. Okay, because I'm gonna share my book. Let me get the book up here. We're gonna do a lot of sharing. And see here, general contractor, license. When do you plan on to start highlighting your books? Today? Okay. Oh, this is perfect, huh? Absolutely. Okay. Let me see what the heck is going on here. I'm trying to pull up my documents. I want to pull up the actual book so we could be going through it. Is my screen lagging any? No, no, no. I'm just saying, like, with me moving. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. On my end, it's terrible. All right. Okay. Reference PDFs. I'm just going through my other screen just to pull up this document for you so you can see. Oh, downloaded PDFs. There they are. Do, 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 do. Books. IBC. Okay. Dang it. I ain't getting nowhere with this one. Hold on. Not books. Book lists. Downloaded PDFs. I cannot find this file for anything. Reference, North Carolina highlighting guides, GC exam code standards. Okay, IBC, reference books and source material. There we go. I had Clyde go in and organize my folders, and I loved it, but I'm gonna be straight honest with you. I didn't know what they were doing. Oh, my Yeti's not even connected. They can't even hear me. Yeah, they couldn't even hear me. They didn't have no idea. They had no idea what I was talking about. That's the life I live. There we go. We are good to go now. Okay, there we go. Boom, perfect. So right now I am opening up the IBC and then I'll share it on the screen. Try to reference books, study sessions, miscellaneous, IRC. Oh, there it is. Perfect. You on 2021 or 2018? 21? Okay. Language might be a little bit different, but I can pull up the 21 if some of the questions have discrepancies, but it shouldn't. So right now, pull up my list. I'm gonna go to chapter, what are we looking at? 3. And then we're already just looking at assembly group A. And if you notice, let me see if I can zoom in here. There's oh, there's that section, assembly group A, right there at the top, right? Where it's saying exactly what we're talking about. So if you highlight assembly group A and you do highlight 303.1, that will work. It honestly would work. Just don't go trying to just highlight everything. The whole point again, meaning like 303.11, 303.12, you don't need all that. You just need to know that you did touch assembly group A and you understand where it's at. So anything that refers to it, you come right back here. And so another thing I want to point out is when you're looking at it in this way, you see 303.1, you see 303.11, 301.12. Did I explain this to you of how these subcategories work? Okay, let's. Okay, guys, trying to. I did a whole new onboarding. He's trying to get on board right now. I made everybody go back and study buddy, actually set their days and do things like that. So some of the students are going to have a little bit of issues while they're doing it. But on on these, what were you gonna say? Oh, you can. Oh, okay. So now stop reading the error. However, after hitting continue, it doesn't prompt to the dashboard. Okay. Everybody's probably like, "Oh my God, what's going on?" So how did you find this link? Uh-huh. Ah, okay. Perfect. I was like, I know it ain't all the way blocked. I'm fixing it while we're talking too, so no worries. Yeah. That's where the messages is coming at now. So I'm working on it as we're talking. So um this is going to be very important for you to see when you're looking at assembly or any section, right? So we got our, let me see if I can highlight these things. I'm pretty sure I can. Let me grab my pen here and see if I can't get some highlighting going. Let's see. Okay. Come on, markup. Where's the markup little thingy at? Okay, there we go. We got that right there. Perfect. Okay. Let me get a little color. Y'all know I like to get fancy sometimes now. I like to get a little fancy. All right. So, uh-oh. Didn't like that. Whatever I just did, they did not like that one. Let me see what the hell going on here. See if I can't get back over there. What happened? Come on, screen. Don't do me like that. What did I do? Let's see. It says it does not like this book. Okay. Let me reload. Huh, I wonder what I did. Damn it. Okay, let me try this one more time. Looks like it does not like what I got right here. So I am going to stop sharing it real quick, close it out, and then try it one more time. Okay. No, I'm trying to bring the book back up because it died on me. Let me see. All right, Chrome tab. Boom, boom, boom. There we go. All right, is that better right there? Perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay. So, like I said, I'm gonna go back to chapter 3. what we were just looking at, and I'm gonna kind of blow it up here. And what I want to explain is how do you look at these sections and how do you navigate them. So right now, let me give them a little highlighter out of here. Hopefully it doesn't mess up this time. There we go. Highlight. We'll go a little bit this way. And just boom, go from there. Okay. Oh, it doesn't like it. That's what it is. It doesn't like when I highlight it. Okay, well, that ain't gonna work. So let's go back one more time. You good. Admin AI runs. Let me see. Okay. So trying to share this book with you one more time. Let me see if I can get this bad boy. We're looking at the International Building Code. Keep playing around with it and see if it let me in. Boom. All right. I'm going to share this screen now. I won't be able to highlight the sections as I want to. I might be able to screenshot it. That's about it. Okay. Chapter 3. Occupancies and classifications. Okay. So, boom. You now see it. So if you look here, you see 303.1 and 303.2. And I'm looking at the top and then I am looking at the bottom. Let me see if I can screenshot and make it easy. Nope, not gonna work. Oh, there it is. Okay. Okay, nope, that ain't gonna work. So 303.1 is Assembly Group A. 303.1.1 is the subsection of Assembly Group A. So everything that you see here, all the way down, it says 303.1, is associated with Assembly Group A section, right? Now, when it says Assembly Group A1, which is it's got different subcategories under the A occupancy. A1 is about to break down what A1 is, and it says here, scoot that over. Group A1 occupancy includes assembly uses, usually with fixed seating, intended for the, let's keep going. Come on now, keep going. Wish I had a computer that was just super fast. Okay. And it says for production, reviewing, what else? Of the performing arts or motion pictures, including but not limited to motion picture theaters, symphony, concert halls, television, radio studios, admitting and audience theaters, right? So that's one, A1, but it's still a classification for group occupancies. So here's A2. The assembly includes uses intended for food and or drink consumption, including but not limited to banquet halls, casinos, nightclubs, restaurants, taverns, and bars, right? So now, when you think about that, every category has these subcategories that are broken down and we need to pay attention to. Okay. We're still in 303, 303 being the classification of Group A occupancy. But when we hear Group A occupancy, you also need to understand that it's broke down in 4 different other sections. And most of that pattern is going to be the same for every other section too. So let's look at Business Group B. When we scroll down, Business Group B didn't have any subsections. What about education? Yeah, business when you look at this business group B is just business group B. It's going to be uh, in 304, section 304. Okay. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna pull up 2021 because since you're on here, it's rather just help you directly. So let me do this here. ICC. Oh, you good? Yes, absolutely. Because they add or they subtract. And so when you're looking at this IBC book, all right, what I'm trying to tell you is if you see the patterns, you'll be a lot further. This is just patterns, right? So we see that you got some other subsections for A or B. Then here's group E. Group E, I think, has some subsections. Let's see. Nope, no subsections there. But factory does. There's F group F1 and then group F2. And the point I'm trying to get at is you just need to pay attention when you're breaking down your occupancy groups in the IBC that you do understand there's different classifications within one occupancy sometimes, most times actually. All right. And so in chapter 3, again, one of the most important chapters that you can study. Okay. Any questions about chapter 3? Okay. Now watch this. In chapter 4, a lot of people get confused. They're like, oh, but chapter 3 was occupancy. So what's chapter 4? When you're looking in the IBC, the chapter 4 is the special detailed requirements based on occupancy and use. It's not the occupancies, it's the special details of the occupancies that you need to be paying attention to, right? So covered malls and open mall buildings. It even talks about a lease plan, the construction of it, area and types of construction. So a lot of times and we're going to break some questions down while we're on here as well. But when you're looking at the question, you got to ask yourself, is it asking me about a special detail? Or is it asking me just in particular what kind of occupancy or what's the allowances within an occupancy? Okay. So special occupancies to look at. When we start talking about those flashcards earlier, when you're going over this chapter, the whole point is for you to understand that when you start hearing, so we're in the 400s right now. Let me see what this next one is. Plastic signs, children's play structures, standpipe systems, emergency systems. You want to get familiar with what's in this chapter, right? So emergency voice and alarm communication systems when they're talking about this in a question, a lot of times you can just narrow it down to, oh, I remember there's only one chapter that's actually going to talk about all these different things. Fire department access to equipment, of course, not means of egress. It's going to be in multiple places, but the mall width for means of egress. It's just the specials. Okay. So you got to wrap your mind around that is once we get into these other chapters, it's very specific on what topic we're going to stay in. If they just put, a little bit of this and a little bit of that through every single chapter, we'll never get through this. So the pattern is subject matter is always based on area of the book. Okay. So now I'm going to go to the next one. So we got 3 and 4, both dealing with occupancy classifications and use. But now let's go to general building heights and areas. So when you hear general building heights and areas, what do you think that's talking about? Density? Okay, yeah, absolutely. You ready for here's the cheat code. So every single chapter has this. Look right here at the beginning. I'm blowing it up. You see where it says user note? about this chapter? It tells you right there. Chapter 5 establishes the limits to which a building can be built. Building height, number of stories, and building area are specified in this chapter. So chapter 5 must be used in conjunction with the occupancies established in chapter 3 and types of construction established in chapter 6, which will be going next. So this chapter also specifies the impact that mezzanines, accessory occupancies, mixed occupancies have on the overall size of the building. So here's a pro tip for everyone. You can read the user note on every single chapter and get an idea of exactly what's in it. You see that? So even going back to chapter 3, right? Look at the user note. It tells us provides the criteria by which buildings and structures are classified into use groups and occupancies through the balance of the code. Occupancy classification is fundamental in the setting of features of the construction, occupant safety requirements, especially building limitations, means of egress, fire protection systems, and interior finishes. So about this chapter is on every single page at the first of the chapter in your IRC and your IBC. So you cannot lose, right? So if you're trying to understand, like, damn, what is this chapter talking about? This is all you got to do is just go right there to the beginning. User notes. Okay? Make sense? So some of the things that I would highlight, right, if it was just me, that's outside of the highlighting worksheet, is that right there. Is your it's like see? Yeah. And it's one of the most common sections that are skipped over in your IRC and your IBC book. It's right there, the first one. I wish I could share my screen, but again, all it says, sorry, but I'm having a hard time logging in. Look, I'm finally got to it. Uh-oh. Okay, 1 second. All right. Everybody's trying to log in right now to Study Buddy Pro. So I'm just making sure that as I'm working this live, we working live for real. The work don't stop. We want to make sure you guys get in to the new onboarding. It's new as of this morning. Okay. So again, if you're studying for your exam and you got your books in front of you, go ahead right now, go through your user notes. User notes are the first part of the chapter. It's going to tell you exactly everything you need to know about, what's up, Michael Reed? Everything you need to know about that chapter. Okay. So we just established, what are we doing? We're working our highlight drills, but when we're going through these highlight drills and we're turning through these different chapters, because remember, your highlight drills go in order. That's the best part. They're going to go from the beginning of the book all the way to the end. And if you don't know what a highlight guide is, you're not in the community. You need to join the community to figure that one out. Or you can just watch all the videos that we got. But the highlighting guide is how you get through the book without reading. Okay? And all I'm going to ask and add to it is read the user note of every chapter and do our flashcard drill. That's the IBC mastery. That's under flashcards in the app is studybuddypro.com or .app. All right. So next thing, boom, 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 boom. Highlighting's covered for you, correct? So Maya, pretty straightforward. How we gonna make it through? Once, go ahead. I'm listening. Okay. Once once you make it through, you're highlighting. What do you do next? You got your book, you highlighted it. Now what do you do? Well, I'm gonna tell you this. The next thing you do after you highlight your book is you gotta jump in and quiz yourself. So how our program is broke down, let me switch back over to Study Buddy Pro. And I want to go over the questions, particularly in chapter 3 with you. So we're going to go over a couple questions. If you can't see the questions on TikTok or YouTube or any of those channels, I'm going to tell you, come join the StudyBuddyPro.app. It is awesome. And I'm not just saying that. I put my heart into this one. So boom, dashboard. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go to that section in particular, which is going to be lesson, I believe, 3 in the International Building Code. And if you guys are not familiar with the International Building Code, that is the book that's going to govern all of your commercial exams. Okay, it is the most important book in the whole curriculum. I got to say that. It's the most important book. So let me scoot this thing over here. If you're looking to study the occupancies, it is going to be in chapters 3 or IBC study session 2. So I'm going to share my screen here. IBC study session 2 is occupancies. So Samaya, helping you here is sometimes you can just highlight section, whatever it is, 200 or 300 or whatever section you're highlighting, and then just jump right to the quiz to see if you actually learned it. You know, so you can do all your highlighting drills that way too. You can do the 100s, then do chapter 1. You can do the 200 or 300s, then do chapter 3, right? Because those quizzes, what you want, those quizzes are really just going to reinforce what you've been learning in your highlighting drills. So let's go over a question, right? And let's see if you can break a couple of these down. So right now, question on the screen. I'm going to pause the clock. I don't want you to feel pressured. All right. She said, please. Uh, question asks, aerosol storage buildings shall be classified as group blank occupancies when constructed in accordance with International Fire Code. Okay, is it H2? Is it H3? Is it S1? Or is it S2? Okay, now again, we're in a Study Buddy Pro app. I'm just throwing questions out there. Maybe I'll be able to get them up on the screen, but right now, this is the only way I can actually share it right now. So H2, H3, S1, S2. First thing I'm gonna ask you is, what is H classification and what is S classification in the IBC? And you guys can put that in the chat. Okay. High hazard. What does that mean? What does high hazard? She said, absolutely. I got you. I got you. So let me see here. What's S? Yes. Yep. S1? Perfect. Perfect. Damn, you answered that quick. You said it's S1. Okay, all right. Let me okay. Click it. Submit the answer. Absolutely. Boom. 307.1.1, um, section 12. Correct? Why do you feel it was a trick question? Right. Mm, absolutely. Yes. Yes. Okay. Let's go through another one. Let's go through another one. Boom, boom, boom. Next question. All right. Unless protected by an automatic sprinkler system, what is the minimum required fire separation distance between a 350 square foot laundry room and the manufacturing building it is incidental to? Is it no fire separation is required? 1 hour fire separation, 1 hour fire partition, 1 hour fire barrier and or horizontal assembly, or smoke barrier? So when we're looking at these questions, what I'm telling you is this has a lot of little moving parts, right? Because again, it starts with unless protected by automatic sprinkler system. So immediately you're like, okay, sprinkler system, that's a keyword. Then what is the minimum required fire separation? Fire separation, we talk about that all the time, right? Between a 350 square foot laundry room and the manufacturing building it is incidental to. Okay. Unfortunately, yes. Chapter 3 or chapter 5, right? Yeah, yeah. Chapter 3 or chapter 5. And what I'm gonna tell everyone is when you're doing your practice quizzes, even in the Study Buddy Pro app, what I'm telling you is, sometimes questions might get mixed up because if you're if you get in the habit of studying and your system is I'm just in that chapter and that's how I find the answers and you're not utilizing the book, you're already setting yourself up for failure. So don't assume that every question when you're doing your exam prep is going to be in the same chapter. Okay. So, and I want to welcome everybody. 1 hour fire separation. We got Kayla on here saying 1 hour fire. How did you fit what? So Kayla is saying 1 hour separation. And Kayla, I'm going to put a link up here. If you guys are trying to get to this event, I'm going to go ahead and actually put a link on here right now for you guys to actually join us live and you can ask questions and all that. TikTok is not allowing me to share my screen today. It is what it is. Who cares? Right? So let me put it in here in the chat. Study buddy. Hold on. No, 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 no. Let me not put it in the chat or they're going to kill me. Let me put it over here. And so Maya, let me know if you need help. I'm adding another source here. I'm gonna go ahead and add the link to our live classes that we're in right now. And it's study buddy pro.app/events. And I promise you guys, eventually we gonna get back to going live on here, sharing the screen. They just want me to work right now. You know how it is, social media. But Kayla, I don't know if you're right yet because we actually don't have a 1 hour fire separation as an answer. The answers, all right, are no fire separation is required, 1 hour fire partition, 1 hour fire partition barrier and or horizontal assembly, smoke barrier. Okay, those are the options. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna actually post the question in the chat. I think that'll be better for you guys that are on TikTok so you can actually see the question that we're talking about. So give me 1 second, I'll pull that up. And so Maya, if you actually see the question or you see the answer, you can go ahead and spit it out. So let me pull up. I'm gonna give you guys access right now, and we are in study session 2. I'm gonna go ahead and start that quiz. Hold on 1 second. And I'm gonna post the question in this chat again for you guys that are just joining in. Every question we do today, I will post in the chat on the side, and that way um, you can actually follow along with us. Let me see, paste. See if it'll work here. Copy, paste. Oh my God, they don't even want me to paste it in here. Is this insane? All right, we're trying to post the question so you guys can see. And we are having issues posting this question. So what I'm gonna do, actually, we'll make it easy. I'm gonna actually add it. I'm listening to you, Samaya. Go ahead. What makes you think that? Okay. All right, guys, I got the question up there. We can do it like this. They ain't gonna stop us. Watch. Oh, we over here trying to get get the. Okay, no worries. All right, guys. We got one person working on it right now, and like I say, I'm going to find a way to get this question up. And like I say, today we are doing live classes. So give me 1 second to make sure I got you guys all lined out so you can be a part of this. All right, there's the question, guys. We finally got it up there. So in this question, unless protected by an automatic sprinkler system, what is the minimum required fire separation distance between 350 square foot laundry room and a manufacturing building it is incidental to? Now, like I told you guys, this is IBC. All right, we're in the IBC right now. We're helping Samaya. She's doing our NASCLA exam. If you're interested in getting your questions answered, the link's right there. StudyBuddyPro.app events. You can come in here and join us live. Right now, we're just across the platforms trying to just educate and help as many people as possible while you're studying. So if you need help, tap in, put your question in the comments. We will help you any way that we can. So in this question right here, and I'm gonna add the answers below. Look, we're gonna figure it out. And so, Ma, you going on 5 minutes. Okay, no worries. Let me highlight the answers for the students and shoot them the options here. I'm getting a little jazzy. I'm figuring it out, guys. I'm figuring it out. Boom. Okay. Now, where to go? Boom. Here's the answers. Here's your options, right? And I put that on TikTok for them. Everybody else on YouTube, they can see it already. So, what is the answer? So, Maya, where did you say you went? Okay. Yes. Mm, partition or fire barrier? So, my question is, what's the difference between fire partition and fire barrier? Okay. Index or table of contents. I mean, not table of contents, definitions, right? Because you might be in your definitions, chapter 2, and you can go ahead and break up right now fire separation, look that up, fire partition, look that up, fire barrier, and horizontal assembly. Because we need to figure out what those things are. Okay. Well, so yeah, you got me thinking, okay, should we be utilizing that flashcard system first? I think it's hand in hand as you do your sections of highlighting, you just go and do sections of the flashcards too. Okay. Let me make sure everybody's getting in. That's a front end tweak. I'm over here trying to get this thing working. Okay. Now, did you see what the answer was or no? I'm gonna pause it because we're looking at fire separation distance or fire partition. I'm gonna read the question one more time. You actually found the section though. Incidental to. Incidental, what does that mean? What does incidental mean? You said something that can pose an accident? Uh, Okay. Well, let's look. Yeah. Okay. Absolutely. But this is key. Isn't there a section called incidental uses? That's what you're looking at right there. Watch this. You were in, what section did you look up incidental uses? Okay. So we in section 509. 509 reads, let me go here. I'm just going down. Incidental uses required. Let's see. Incidental uses located within a single occupancy or mixed occupancy building shall comply with the provisions of this section. Incidental uses are ancillary functions associated with given occupancy that generally pose a greater level of risk to the occupancy and are limited to those uses listed in Table 509. Incidental uses within or serving a dwelling unit are not required to comply with this section. So first thing, looking at the question that we do have on board, we're definitely a laundry room and the manufacturing building. That's two risks right there, right? We got laundry room, maybe using gas for the dryers. And then in the manufacturing part, depending on what they're making, they got machinery, they got high voltage. So it can be risky, right? So right now, going back to our question, we got incidental uses. What about automatic sprinkler systems? Okay. Now, one of the things I want to point out on this question, right, is you found incidental uses, but when you read, it sent you somewhere else. Did you notice that it says that generally pose a greater level of risk to the occupancy and are limited to those uses listed in Table 509? Huh? Table 509 is going to tell us what incidental uses and use cases it is used in. So we have a lot of times when you're looking at the answers, it's giving you more clues to follow the trail. And we got to follow those clues before we jump to another keyword. Okay. What's the answer? So one hour fire barrier. Oh, my fault. I was sharing the wrong one. I was actually in the book. So I'm looking at room and area 509. right? Okay. I'm looking. Laundry rooms over 100 square feet are 1 hour or provide automatic sprinkler systems. And then the other one was manufacturing something, right? And this laundry room is 350 square feet, so it's over. So, unless protected by automatic sprinkler system, what is the minimum required fire separation distance between 350 square foot room and the manufacturing building is incidental to? You are right. You said, and Kayla was right too. Let me take that back. Kayla was like 1 hour fire separation. Which one of these answers would it be? It'd be 1 hour what? And horizontal assembly. Yes. Okay, let's go back. Look. Okay, let me see if we got that right. Share the screen. Come on, girl, move this thing. Okay, there we go. Boom. And I'll share my screen. There we go. 509, 509.4.1 is where you found that answer. Okay. So that took a little bit of digging, right? When you were actually breaking that down though, it became easier once you got familiar with those sections, like incidental uses. Okay. Oh, damn, that's what that means. Okay. And it will substantially help you with keywords if you just, again, learn the patterns, go through the book. Because we're going to talk about this. You got 24 books. This is not just going to come up one time. This is going to be a repetitive thing. Fire separation, fire partitions, fire barriers, occupancies, like I said, building heights, types of construction. That's the language. And that's only 3 chapters, 4 chapters. Nah, 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 nah. It should not make you nervous. It's honestly, it's not as hard as people try to make it out to be. All right. So, next part, let's go to another one. We'll do one more here, and then I want to go to maybe types of construction because we kind of touched on building areas and heights, but I really want to go and touch on types of construction because that's going to come up a lot on this exam. Okay. So let's find another question here. I won't make it as complicated, but this is a good one right here. So I'll share it with the people that are on the TikTok. Everybody on the other one are already there. And so the question reads, let me get it up here for you guys. And I got to change it one at a time. Paste. Well, it seems like when you trying to work it, everything start going slow. Come on now. Transient. 1 second, guys. I'm trying to get this question up here for you so you can see it. All right. Here's the question. And then here's the answers. Okay. I'm just posting in the chat. And no TikTok hated me like that. Let me see. Hold on. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. Apply. Boom, boom, boom. All right. We got it up there on the screen. And our answers. The question is, uh-oh, what is going on? Let's see if we can widen this thing out. It don't want to play fair. It don't want to play fair. Let's see. Oh man. Let me erase this one and add another one. And I will post the answers here. Add the source. All right, here's the answers. So, a congregate living facility Transient with an occupant load of 8 persons is to be classified as a group blank occupancy. Is it R1, R2, R3, or R4? Okay. So, what is transient? What does that mean? Transient. What does transient mean? If you want to put it in the chat, you can put it in the chat if you're not on our live. But we are at the events right now. If you want to show up and get in on some of these questions and study with us, it's every Friday, 10 a.m. We will be here trying to get it in. Oh, yeah, go ahead. Sleeping unit for not more than 30 days. So it's a transient facility, meaning, hmm, like transitional housing, which I want to invest in. you know? So, all right, there we go. So now we got a congregate living facility that's transient with an occupant load of 8 persons and is to be classified as a group blank occupancy. Is it R1, R2, R3, or R4? Now, when you looked at this question, right? If you can see it, thumbs up if you can see it on the screen. Thumbs up, TikTok, if you guys see that question on the screen. But when I look at this question, what I'm gonna tell you is this is an easy one to really break down, right? Instead of taking just the keywords, right, and looking at the keywords with the index or table of contents, why wouldn't you look up R1, R2, R3, and R4 in chapter 3, right, and see which one has congregate living transient with occupant loads of 8 persons in it? That's an easier way of getting to the answers. And that's a pattern that if you catch it, there's a lot of questions that when you read the answer, it's saying, which one of these answers is it? And you can literally look up the answers, right? Definitions or through that chapter and get what you need. That makes sense? Okay. And so right now, again, we're if you got the answer, you can put it in the chat. If you're not here on our live, which is studybuddypro.app events every Friday, 10 a.m. Again. So a congregate living facility transient with an occupant load of 8 persons. We already talked about transient. Transient being again transitional, right? It's you're not going to be there longer than 30 days. Okay. Is it R1, R2, R3, or R4? Just a little bit. What did you think the answer was? Okay. And let me pull up my book while we're there. What chapter are you in? And you're in 310. And that's section 310, right? Section 310. I was just saying it to everybody else. Section 310, residential group R. You will be able to break down these sections. So I'm listening. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you're looking at which one? R3? Okay. Question. Let me go ahead and switch back. Where is it at? The question is a congregate living facility transient with an occupant load of 8 persons is to be classified as a group blank occupancy. R1, R2, R3, or R4. Nope. Let's see. And when you look at R3, it actually says it. You read it right. Let's go ahead and put R3. Boom. 3, 10, 4. No, no, no. But look, you when you looked at R3, and I'm going to share it on my screen, look at R3 right there. There's two sections that says congregate living facilities, non-transient, and then congregate living facilities, transient with 10 or fewer occupants. Yep, yep. So, so you read the requirements of residential group R3, but you didn't look for the keywords transient, congregate living facility, occupant load of 8 persons, right? These are the other factors that's going to build our answers. So remember this, and we haven't got so much into the strategy today and even in our one-on-ones, but the strategy is asking yourself, what is this question asking me and why? Okay? What is this question asking me and why? But where I'm going with that is you're literally the mantra is frame. Frame. I'm going to frame it, then build my answer. So when I'm framing it, I'm taking all those different keywords and I'm putting them in the pool to say, I need to find these in that section that I find this answer in order to know that it's right. And we found that if you find 70% of the keywords that you pick out in the section that you're looking for the answer, 90 plus percent of the time it's the right answer. No worries. No worries. But now you got an idea of occupancies, right? Confident you're gonna run through chapter 3? And it's the hardest. Okay. So let's move on to not just talking about occupancies, but let's talk about, I think we did do general heights and buildings. We'll kind of throw that in there, but types of construction. Types of construction, when we hear that terminology, right? A lot of times, it's just not as clear what do we mean by types of construction. Sometimes you hear types of construction and you start thinking, oh, there's, roads, there's buildings, there's houses, but it's a little bit more simplified than that. And what we're talking about is chapter 6. Okay. So sharing my screen, we're on chapter 6. And like I told everyone, and when you get to a chapter and you haven't been there before, all right, we're in chapter 6. Read the user note about this chapter. Okay. And what it's going to say is chapter 6 establishes 5 types of construction in which each building must be categorized. This chapter looks at the materials used in the building, combustible and non-combustible or non-combustible, and the extent to which the building elements such as building frame, roof, wall, and floor can resist fire depending on the type of construction. the specific building element and its proximity to a lot line, fire resistance of 1 to 3 hours is specified. Okay, so this is a very important chapter because each building that we structure has to be a type of construction. And the biggest factor, again, is combustible and non combustible. So when we get into construction classification, section 602, it's a very, very short section, but one of the most powerful. Okay. And we're going to look first at 602.2, where it talks about types 1 and 2 construction. Okay. Types 1 and 2 construction are those types of construction in which the building elements listed in 601 are of non combustible materials, except as permitted in section 603 and elsewhere in this code. So, reading that, it gives me two more sections I need to look at: type 1 and type 2 construction. I'm in my bad. Table 601 and section 603. So we must look at those sections now. So table 601 says fire, let me kind of shrink that a little bit. Okay. Fire resistance rating requirements for building elements based on hours. Okay. And again, we're in chapter 6 of the IBC, and I'll change it on the screen over here on TikTok. Like I say, we're in chapter 6. Let me type that in there. Chapter 6 of the IBC. Okay. Okay. So looking at that, I want to break this chart down too, so you can understand how to read charts. How comfortable are you reading charts? You can put it in the chat. Samad, you can answer. How comfortable are you reading charts? Okay. Today, you're going to be confident because I'm going to teach you the top down, left right method. Okay. It's called top down, left right. At the top, we got the title. This is also where we can find our keywords when we're looking at these charts. So in table 601, okay, it says fire resistance rating requirements for building elements hours. So we are talking about in this chart fire resistance rating requirements. If you don't have that in your question, we don't need to be on this table. Okay. So now that's the top. Down means we're going to look, and I wish my little pencil would work today. Let me see if I can highlight. Okay, yeah, okay, we can get a little highlighting going, I guess. This section right here that I just highlighted, okay, that's the down section that we go to next. That's just columns. Because this is going to still help us pull our keywords and understand what this table is actually talking about, right? So building elements. Here's all the different building elements that it's going to cover in this on this table: primary structural frame, bearing walls, exterior, interior, non-bearing walls and partition exterior, non-bearing walls and partition interior, floor construction and associated secondary members, roof construction and associated secondary members. So what I'm gonna ask you, Samaya, is looking at a little bit of this, right? What is a partition? Yeah, what is a partition? What kind of wall? When you hear partition, what? Okay. Because this is important too, because we're breaking down interior walls, exterior walls, partition. You said it's not in the definitions? Yep. So hold on. When you're looking at partitions right now in your IRC or IBC book, you looked at chapter 2, definitions, right? And you don't see partitions in there, right? So what do you do next? Well, or this is this is training. So you can Google, you can ask Coach Kev. That's it. That's it. You gonna just look it up out on the app and figure it out. The more time we waste flipping through those chapters, we're gonna be stuck. So we want to skip that process of guessing and just look it up. Boom. That's a partition. So could there be exterior partitions? Okay. Now we just did top down, right? Left is we're looking at this row, what you see right under building elements, because that's going to tell me everything I need to look at when I'm going across in that row. So left, we just went over it. These are the different building elements. So now when we go right, it's going to tell us type type 1A or B. What what does these numbers depict? What is the 3? What is the 0? What is the 2? What is the 1.5? What does those mean on this table? What are they representing? The what type? Okay, hold on. When we look at the zeros, the threes, the twos, the ones, and all of that, what are they representing in this table? Oh no, read the title. What does the title say? Then what? Uh-huh. So what does those numbers represent? Absolutely. Top, down, left, right. Top is going to tell you what this whole chart is. We're looking at the hours for fire resistance ratings. Okay. And what's the difference from type A and type B? If we're in type 1A or type 1B, what's the difference? No worries. Type A is more combustible than type B. Because remember, the types of construction, yes, the types of construction are almost always going to be talking about, again, combustible and non combustible construction. You with me? All right. I know it's a lot. It's a lot. every word matters. So our goal when you're studying is really just to absorb the information right now, right? Try to wrap your mind because you're like, damn, oh, that's what type A and then type B means. It's non-combustible and combustible. There's higher risk with the B. I mean, lower risk with the B, higher risk with the A. That's why if we're looking at primary structural frame as a building element, if we're doing type 1A, right, or any A construction out of the five, it's a higher rating. We need more fire resistance because it's more combustible. right? That's a pattern. Now, here's a big part to this chart that a lot of people miss. Okay. Look at bearing walls and exterior. And what is that we have right after exteriors? What do you see? Okay. It's hard to see. I get it. Look, it's hard to see. Trust me. Most people ain't gonna look at it. And that E and that F, right? What that means is those are keynotes. All right. Those keynotes, right? E and F are going to lead you to the footnotes at the bottom. Okay. So when we have an answer that lines up with something on this chart, for instance, right? We land on, even if it had it in a title, we have to read the footnotes. Okay. These footnotes for E and F are here, and it says not less than the fire resistance rating based on fire separation distance, see table 602, and then not less than the fire separation rating as referenced in section 704.10. And the answer we're looking for, does that play a part? Does that even matter? Okay. When we just look, let's go back to our question. Oh, we didn't even have a question yet. My bad. Look, oh, I'm over here breaking charts down. I'm like, look, I'm ready to get it in. So with that being said, if one of our questions land on a line, a section, a column, wherever, and it has a keynote, read the footnote. And remember that if the footnote leads you to another section, you need to be going to that other section because E says table 602, F says section 704.10. You're an investigator now. You're literally problem solving. That's it. That's what you're going to be doing. So now let's go back. We were just looking at that chart. Type 1 and 2, we just figured out, is on table 601. And those types of construction building elements listed there are of non-combustible except as permitted in section 603. We can look at that as well. But let's move to type 3 construction. That is the type of construction in which the exterior walls are of non-combustible materials and the interior building elements are of many permitted by this code. Fire retardant treated wood framing and sheathing complying with section 2303.2 shall be permitted within exterior walls assemblies of a 2-hour rating or less. You see that? Section, oh, my bad. Oh, shit. You can't even see my screen. Section 602.3. And that's what we're breaking down again. Type 3 construction, which is exterior walls, are of non-combustible materials. Okay. So key point there. What's the difference? What's oh my bad. What's the difference from type 3 and type 1, 2 construction? Okay. You're explaining it. I'm with you. You're explaining it. But when I asked that, right? What's the key difference from type 1 and 2 versus type 3 construction? you got it. You said it. So don't think I'm trying to play a trick on you. Hmm. I got you. The exterior walls, right? So the exterior walls, type 3, non-combustible, and everything in type 1 and 2, except with an exception, is non-combustible. So that's it. Okay. So now type 4 construction, right, is the type of construction in which the exterior walls are of non-combustible. Let's keep going. Can you see that? Materials and the interior building elements are of solid wood, laminate wood, heavy timber. Remember HT, heavy timber, or structural composite lumber, SCL, without concealed spaces. The minimum dimensions for permitted materials, including solid timber, glued laminate timber, structural composite lumber, and cross laminated timber, and details of Type 4 construction shall comply with the provisions of this section in section 2304.11. Okay, so difference is what with type 4? Types of wood, definitely. But heavy timber, and this is expanded on your book, the 2021, because even type 4 now has an A and B, right? It don't got A and B on mine in an 18. Okay. So heavy timber is going to be classified here. And then we got one more type of construction, and it says type 5. Type 5 construction is the type of construction in which the structural elements, exterior walls, and interior walls are of any materials permitted by this code. So I repeat, and type 5 construction, you can build with anything. Everything's acceptable as long as it's permitted by code. This is a 602.5. It's a very small section. Okay. So looking at that, those are our 5 categories that we need to cover for types of construction. Okay. And now we're going to go over some questions to kind of break it down and help us understand it. All right. So let me pull up some questions. Nah, say it again. What did you say? Absolutely. But here's what I'm gonna tell you is you gotta have a starting point, and now you see, okay, I'm oh shit, this is challenging. So when it gets easier, right? Now you're like, oh shoot, okay, how do I measure that? Well, at the beginning, I was only getting, so many of these right, right? It was taking me this long to do these answers. Now you sped up your search time. You sped up your comprehension. It's a foreign language right now when you're just starting out. So take the pressure off by making sure that you understand what you're looking at. Okay? So boom, boom, boom. Let's pull up a couple questions. And I'm gonna go back to the Study Buddy Pro app. And oh, it says leave site. No, cancel. And uh-oh, it must have logged me out. While I've been talking to you, I've been working on um, making sure they get in. They are a lot of, well, two people hit already. And I stay up all night programming this stuff. And then if I fall asleep, I got to restart. And I did not go through the workflow today. I'm going to be honest. I should have, but I was up so late just trying to re-engineer for engagement. I think engagement is very important when you buy into these applications and communities. So trying to just make it. Somebody told me that I need videos on every lesson. I'm like, well, yeah, I'm being honest. I said, we're gonna figure it out because now with AI agents and things like that, I could do a lot more. So I'm gonna pull that book up. Do, 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 do. Man Center. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It's serious now. Book library. Okay. We, you, you're doing good though, because some people wouldn't even wrap their mind around the different classifications. So you are totally fine. All right. Next next lesson we're going to cover is going to be session 3. And these are sessions that you're going to be touching very quickly because you're highlighting now and it's about to come right back around, right? So chapter 6 is study session 3. And our very first question that we have on the board, it says, in a building of type 4 construction, 1 hour combustible construction is permitted in lieu of heavy timber construction for which the following building elements: floor construction, exterior bearing walls, interior bearing walls, or roof construction. What is the answer? And I repeat, when we look at this, yep, we just did it. I get so many scams on this damn thing. Oh my God, they said I got a refund confirmation from Amazon and the email is some foreigner. Like, come on now. So, in a building of type 4 construction, 1 hour combustible construction is permitted in lieu of heavy timber construction for which of the following building elements? Is it floor construction, exterior bearing walls, interior bearing walls, or roof construction? I'm over here reading. What you got? Take your time. No worries. And I want to pull the book up. Let me pull it up here. And types of construction. Boom. There's, and that's a good point. Is there is no scanning, right? I mean, if you're scanning, you got to know direction, right? And that's where I break down with the index. That's your GPS that gets you there directly. The table of contents is just, overall map. You got to do it old school. You're going to have to, navigate that thing if you use the table of contents, So right now, the only thing you should be scanning is pulling keywords and then working them. Boom. I'm going to copy this question for them. Boom, fixed. We are good. Everything's fixed. Thank you. Where you at? Talk to me. Oh, matter of fact, let me go back and show the question. So we all on the same page. Sharing that tab. And what were you saying? So I'm gonna read the question one more time, and before I answer, because I want to make sure too. Is in a building of type 4 construction, 1 hour combustible construction is permitted in lieu of heavy timber construction for which the following building elements: floor construction, exterior bearing walls, interior bearing walls, or roof construction. So let me ask you, what is this question asking? That is the big one. What is it asking? And you said in lieu of, right? Yep, of course. So what is the definition of type 4 construction? Let's look. There you go. I know it's a chase. I'm gonna put the question up for you guys there on TikTok as well. We're in the IBC, and the question is: in building of Type 4 construction, 1 hour combustible construction is permitted in lieu of heavy timber construction, right? For which the following building elements: floor construction, exterior bearing walls, interior bearing walls, roof construction. Now, listen to this: 1 hour combustible construction is permitted in lieu of heavy timber construction for which of the following? I'm gonna pull that book back up and I'm gonna look at Type 4 construction if it pulls up, hopefully. Oh, you. Okay. And I'm just looking at 602.4 is the type of construction which exterior walls are of non-combustible and interior building elements are of solid wood, laminate, heavy timber, structural. The minimum dimensions permitted, blah, 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 blah. Exterior walls complying that shall be permitted. Interior walls and partitions not less than 1 hour fire resistance rated are heavy timber complying with section 2304.11.2.2 shall be permitted. I'm looking right here. Look at my screen. It says section 2304.11. I know that. So let's go to 230411, 230411 in the IBC, 2304 general construction requirements, right? And then let's go down to 11. Ugh, 230411. Trying to get there, 230411. And I'll put the question up. If y'all want the question up in the chat, I'll put it up in the chat on YouTube and on TikTok here. 230411 in the IBC. I'm trying to pull it up and I'll drop that question in there for you. I don't know why 230411 is just not coming up for me. Oh, 20, 230411. Oh, heavy timber. There we go. So where a structure portion thereof or individual structural elements are required provisions of this code to be heavy timber, the building elements there should comply with applicable provisions of 2311.1 and through 2311.4. Minimum dimensions, right, shall comply with the applicable requirements of table 230411 based on roofs or floors supported in the configuration of each structural element, or in sections 23011.2 or 23011.4. Lumber decking shall be in accordance with. So in this section, we are trying to figure out, is it, what's our answers? What's our options again? And the answers? It is floor construction. Yeah. If I look at type 4 construction, right, and I'm okay. You said it wouldn't have made sense to you? Right. Hold on. Hold on. One pending task. Hold on 1 second. Let me see what's going on here. Oh, that's something else. Okay, I got you. All right. Floor construction, exterior barrier walls, interior. 1 hour combustible construction is permitted in lieu of heavy timber. And which of the following building elements? There's a table in 23, right, that we're looking at. Okay. What table did it take us to? 230411. Let's go. Let's go to that table. So minimum dimensions of heavy timber. That's that section, right? And that's not telling us actually the hours, right? That's just telling us minimum dimensions. So approved, floor framing, columns, details. Looking right now to make sure. Hold on 1 second. Two things going at one time. I need to make sure the book is over here for the students that are on TikTok. Let me get the book pulled up, actually, the question for you. And again, it's IBC chapter 6, study session 3. Whether you're in the IBC or the IRC. Okay, so 1 hour come up, they pull it right up. And okay, you still there? Kind of stumped? Just a little bit? No worries. Watch this. Watch this. So again, the question reads, let's read it one more time. No, I know. And this is where when you're in that challenge and you're studying, right? And you get stuck on a question, what you must do is click the answer, find out what it is, right? But in this case, it's really simpler than that. In a building of type 4 construction, 1 hour combustible construction is permitted in lieu of heavy timber construction for which of the following building elements? So you know we're in the 600s when we started out. We went to the 2300s, kind of seen more about the heavy timber and stuff like that. But let's look at 600. And I'll share my book. I'll share my book. Let's go back to the 600s. Let's go to, I think we were in type 4 construction. And now I'm also looking at a chart, fire resistance ratings, requirements for building elements, right? Type 4 construction, heavy timber, right? And 1 hour construction can be used for, and it says non-bearing wall C sections. I'm listening. And where you see it at. Uh-huh. I mean, you're on point. Uh, but okay, watch this. And we're literally looking at type 4. Okay. You see HT, that's heavy timber. You see two, you see a 1/HT, which is 1 hour, HT. Keep going. It says C section 2304. When it comes down to the other ones, HT. But which one of those say 1 hour? Yes, yes, yes. So let's see if that's the right answer though, because I could be wrong. Hold on 1 second. Definitely interior brain walls. 601. So, yep. And I wish I could have shared the screen with you guys on the TikTok. Sorry, they're not allowing me, but I'll share that question that we just went over. And like I said, it's very important that you understand chapters 3, 4, 5, and 6. That's where the heart of this whole exam is, right? I know you might be like, oh, I got, all these other books that I'm studying or whatever it is, because you might have an exam with several books. But ultimately, it comes down to knowing what sections of the book should I be really focusing on. And so our highlight drills are definitely going to take you through this section, right? But when we're going through it, we need to be making sure that we're looking up the answers. We're looking and making sure that we are comprehending what this is saying. So I'm just putting this question up here just so you guys can see it. We already answered it. And the answer was interior brain walls. And we were looking at charts. And sorry, I couldn't put the charts up there, right? But this is how this whole exam is going to go. The whole exam is going to go just like this. Okay. So taking your time to really look at the question is the first part. But when you're looking at it, I need you to ask yourself one thing, and this is going to be the game changer. What is this question asking me? That's that's what it is. What is this question asking me? Out of everything we did today, if we're able to take that question and answer that one thing, which is, what is this question asking me? We'll really start comprehending this whole curriculum a lot easier. And we don't have to know it like the back of our hands. We just need to know how to identify it. Look, so absolutely, absolutely. So, well, of course, with us doing this live, and that's even how the classes are. You got other variables, and when you're taking this exam, it's just going to be you and the books. It ain't going to be anybody else. So when you're studying, right, and you're challenging yourself to see where you're at, you're not in a class like this where, we're trying to, throw these different strategies and teach you things. When you're sitting in your secluded spot and you're working, this is what you're supposed to be remembering and utilizing as tools. How do I break the question down? What is the question asking me? All those simple things to bring you back to maybe I'm overthinking it. Let me just see how you re engineer this. Cool? So today, let me get some feedback from you. Do you feel a little bit more better? Okay. I know. No. Yes. Yes. And it gets easier once we get out of 3, 4, 5, and 6. Those chapters in the IBC, 3, 4, 5, and 6, if you're taking your commercial license, it is going to be the heaviest chapters because if you don't nail them, you will not nail the other questions that's on the exam. Okay? Because you got to understand the occupancies, the type of constructions, what's the other? Special details for occupancies, and general building and heights. Because when we're building outside of residential, we got a lot of different elements to deal with. We got what's next to it, what's in it, who's on top, what's on bottom. It's all these different things. What's in this room compared to the other room? So use cases. So I encourage everybody today, get in Study Buddy Pro. Get on there. I see somebody help. Juan, your credentials not able to join the live. Okay, Juan, we'll set that right now. I see that's what you just said. 1 second, my man. You mean you can log in from the Study Buddy Pro app or here? Sorry, they were just asking that. And let me just make sure I got everybody lined out. Is there any questions that you have, Samaya? Okay, what you gonna do now? Absolutely, absolutely. All right, so let me see if I can get these people in while we're on here. It's a few people. I see Juan. Juan saying he can't get in. Juan, I'm working on that right now. We'll make sure that you can get in. And if there's anybody else having trouble with logging in, oh, invalid credentials. Oh, that's what's going on. Let me see. Bids. I didn't even get an email. So, students log in, they get invalid credentials. Don't get a verification email. Please look at this. All right, I got that getting handled, Juan, and I apologize. I did some crazy stuff. I decided I was going to rebuild the workflow, messing around with old Claude, and we rebuilt the workflow. But as I see, as we've been live on here, a few people have not been able to get in, and so I am taking care of that as we speak. And I'm pretty sure it's just a simple fix. Here in a couple of minutes, you guys will be able to log in. There are some new things in the community that I want to do videos on, especially on utilizing different features and things like that. But as I tell everyone, accessibility, if there's something that's going on in the community where you're not able to log in or you're stuck, you got to raise your hand. You got to go ahead and send out and say, hey, I need help and I got you. And I appreciate you, Juan, coming on here and even asking as well. And we'll make sure. Oh, who was that? I was like, what? They popping on up in here. Um, but ultimately, we're not perfect by far, but we will be there to help you guys pass your exam. There is no getting around that. This is what I do 24 hours a day. Even though I'm a licensed general contractor and got a couple things going on, this is what I focus on primarily to make sure that we're helping as many students as possible break those barriers and get in this game of making hella money when it comes down to construction. Because one thing robots and AI is not replacing, they ain't replacing contractors. All right. One thing it is helping you guys with is systems. So now you can be a very effective small company. And this is just a little bit off the topic. But with us running our company, when I was working for a larger firm, it was five of us and was doing 1.6, $1.8 million with just five people. And that doesn't mean five people on tool bags and with hammers and nails and all that shit. No, I was a project manager. We had an office manager. We had an owner who ran the show, did the sales, and we had two guys in the field. And we're doing 1.6, 1.8 million a year. So tell me this. Can you run an operation smaller than that and do bigger numbers with technology today? Absolutely. I do think office managers are important, but with AI, answering the phone, setting appointments, you can get around that. Do I feel like sales is one of the most important roles in a construction company once you get your license? Absolutely. And more than likely, it's going to be you until you figure that out. And then you're going to have to replace yourself with two or three people. Okay. But running the field, technically, if you're not the one on the tool bags, you can sub everything out. Is your insurance going to be higher? Of course. But if you got good projects that you can bid on, I think that's most important because that's going to determine your profit margins. Okay. So getting your GC license is one aspect, but figuring out what you're going to do with your GC license is the next aspect. And what I encourage you to do is when you get before you get your license, go ahead and get in a network and try to figure out, hey, what are the things that I can do with my license that will make me some good money, or good living? Because money isn't the ultimatum. Consistency is everything. And like I told you, you guys, we have done government projects. I specialize in bathrooms and kitchens. I mean, I know them like the back of my hand. I am not a perfect contractor. I learned a lot of this stuff going to school, but a lot more of it hands on. So do not be afraid of jumping in, even though you may not have experience. I I'll share a quick one, and then I'll be wrapping up. I remember when I started our construction company and we actually had 5 employees, W-2s underneath my belt. That was one of the worst freaking things I could have done because I didn't know nothing and they knew everything. And so I was at the hand of my employees, right? And so after failing on a project where, we were doing a finished basement and brand new construction, I had to decide what my next move was going to be. Was it going to be the owner who knew nothing, or was it going to be the owner who knew what the hell was going on? And so I decided to jump in, work with my guys after I fired that 5 that we were talking about, and and that's how I became at least knowledgeable about the information, right? And started training and teaching people not only the construction side of it, but how to get their GC license. In the GC game, people think, okay, if I get my license, I'm gonna know it. No, that's not what you're gonna learn when you're doing your general contractor prep. You are going to get a lot of insight on how to do a lot of things, right? But it's not a hands-on training of when you get your GC license, you're going to know how to build anything. What I can guarantee is if you study it correctly and you pass this exam, what you will know is how to find answers. Okay. And I repeat, you might not know how to do everything, especially not hands on, and who cares? You know the right people who can do it, and you at least know the process, right? And how to find answers or how to ask answers. Okay. Because that's the key to being successful. Smart people, leaders, they have other smart people and other leaders around them to lead them to success. So, is there any questions out there I can answer for anybody right now? You can put it in the chat. I am working on login right now. Sorry, it was a pain in the butt for a lot of them, but it is not sending verification emails when we redid this process. So we're running through it right now, and here in a couple of minutes, I'm pretty sure I'll be able to get you guys signed in so you can start working. All right. You got anything, Samai, you want to add, or you are good to go for today? Oh yeah. So looking at classes, the classes that are coming up. Let me just do that real quick. Classes that are coming up. I just put out. We're booked. Georgia residential is next. Georgia light commercial is this weekend. Um, boom. Where's the other ones? Hold on now. We got way more than that. Let me see here. I'm gonna go to Study Buddy Connect, and I'm going to go to group events. And then I'm just going to look at some of the classes that we got coming up. We have, move this out the way. Nellet podcast is on Monday at 10 a.m., same time. That's what this is, where we study together and I answer questions live. NASCLA is on Monday at night, 6 p.m. We also have a webinar on Monday at 7:30 p.m. that you can come to that webinar. We have North Carolina next Tuesday. It's the kickoff. Study Buddy Connect is a great one on Wednesday of next week, where we go over features in the app and we show you how to operate in the app. Next Thursday as well, we'll be doing Build Your Game Plan, showing you how to build your game plan while you're in the app. And then, like I say, these live office hours, that's what this is all about. This is our live way of going and trying to help as many people as possible. So do not feel afraid to jump on here and ask a question. There's no such thing as a dumb question. We are all students in some aspect, and our whole goal right now is to help you as much as possible pass your exam. Hopefully on the first try, but if you don't feel bad. You'll pass it on the second one. Okay. So if there's no more questions, again, I'm working on the fix. I am going to ship those out, especially to you, Juan. Juan, I'm going to put my number in the chat right now. This is a direct number that you can call me or you can text. Boom, boom. I just put it in the chat. If you guys, and sorry, Juan, I didn't respond in that chat. You can call me, you can text me, and I will make sure that I get you guys in here shortly. And again, forgive me. I'm trying to perfect this onboarding. I'm trying to perfect this app, and it's going to take time. But again, if you need anything, you know how to hit me. This is Coach Care from Contractor Envy, a Study Buddy Pro. And I'm just going to say, do what you do best and nail it. And so, Maya, if you don't need anything else, I'm going to sign off and we'll go from there. All right. You have a, see you Monday. Have a blessed one. Yep. All right. Bye bye. All right. Oh, my bad. YouTube, we are out. I'll catch you guys later.